always try to embody that in a lot of our marketing, a lot of our decisions we make. It's really focused about how do we create a more vibrant, community-focused tap room that people can enjoy.
Banning Lewis Ranch and the Colorado Springs Housing and Building Association present Brewfest 2024, Saturday, July 13th from 12 noon to 4 p.m. at Vista Park. Full access tickets for all 20-plus local breweries and distilleries are just $45, with kids and designated driver tickets just $10. Enjoy live classic rock and country music with the Atomic Fireballs. There's free bounce houses for the kids and plenty of food trucks on hand for all tastes and budgets. Visit cshba.com/brew and get your tickets today.
Ranch Foods Direct has the best beef and pork in town thanks to a regenerative agricultural model using the natural synergies between cattle, hogs, and chickens to optimize the health of livestock and the land. Ranch Foods Direct is an all-in-one, full-service butcher shop with a prepared foods deli and year-round farmers market. Find two convenient locations, one on the east side at 4635 Town Center Drive, and one centrally located at 1228 East Fillmore Street, where shoppers can also enjoy on-site food trucks from El Chapin with fantastic street-style eats featuring Ranch Foods Direct meats from tacos to smash burgers. For more information or to make an online delivery order, visit ranchfoodsdirect.com.
Welcome to Tap&Table. We're here at the soon-to-be-open WestFax location. We're actually here up on their upstairs patio with owner Anthony Marticello here. I'm Ryan Hannigan. With me, my co-host is Matthew Schniper.
This guy. That's all I got. Oh, am I next? All right, I'll keep talking then. So WestFax is among the newest breweries to come here in the Springs to join our local brewery scene. We're super excited to find out about what Anthony and his wife Jackie are up to here. And I wanted to start with just a question about, for anyone who does not know the brand yet, can you tell us a little bit about WestFax?
Sure. So we've been around 8 years, all of that 8 years in Lakewood, Colorado, right next to the infamous Casa Bonita restaurant. Prior owners and current owners. We specialize mostly in IPAs and now lagers over the last couple years, really focusing on both hazy and clear IPAs, as well as traditional and modern style lagers. We've always been about local and community within our tap room, and I think we always try to embody that in a lot of our marketing, a lot of our decisions we make. It's really focused about how do we create a more vibrant, community-focused tap room that people can enjoy.
Cool.
Can you walk us through your decision to start a brewery? I mean, you guys opened WestFax, like you said, next to Casa Bonita about 8 years ago, 2016-ish. Walk us through that decision to switch from, whatever you're doing at the time to opening a brewery up in the heart of Denver, essentially.
Yeah, right in the booming days, right? I think for me, I always think in the back of my head I wanted to open my own business. Even, early on in my career or corporate life, I just didn't know what that was until I kind of started homebrewing and started going to more breweries. And I moved to Colorado during the start of it all, like 2010. So we're going to places like Wits End and Strange, and you're seeing these people doing it on bootstrap budgets, and you're like, I could do that. That's easy. Yeah, it's not easy. Mad props to all those guys, and some of them are still around, right? A
lot of them have had to change and adjust their business structures just to stay around.
But I mean, they're the inspiration that kind of some of us, I think, opened on because we saw it could be done. Didn't need $5 or $10 million. You could do it for under $1 million. And I guess back to the original question, why make that leap? I think eventually for me, one, falling in love with beer, right? And not only making it on a very small scale, but trying all the different styles and all the different breweries, but then being frustrated and fed up with bureaucracy and things that go on in the corporate world that, I have one specific instance that kind of pushed me over the edge, right? Because I'd started writing a business plan and crunching numbers And then one specific instance where I was like, this isn't for me anymore. I don't want to. Well, it was something I thought was completely unethical and wrong, and I just like, screw it. So like, literally 3 or 4 months after this incident, I had to sign lease.
So that was the straw that broke the camel's back, essentially.
Yes, absolutely.
You're just like, all right, ready to go. Let's just.
I'm done.
Let's throw all the chips in the pot and just go for it.
Yep.
So then, walk us through the early days of WestFax. Now you say you're brewing, IPAs and lagers, but what was WestFax's original identity? What were you trying to be at that point?
Local watering hole tap room, right?
Okay.
I think it was always, and we still do this, maybe not at the same level as we used to, but we tried to have beer for everyone on tap, right? And so now even we don't always make sours anymore, or kettle sours, or any variety. We do sometimes, but when we don't, we try to bring in somebody else's, another Colorado brand that we can put on tap. So the folks that come in, I really like sours. Oh, darn it, WestFax doesn't have any. No, we have one from Not a Brew. We have one from whomever. So I think that's always been something we've tried to do, is make sure we're inclusive in our beverage offerings, right? And I think that goes into now with having NA and sodas and things for kids too. So that was part of what we originally sought out to do within our beer portfolio.
When you talk about local, were you talking about your Lakewood neighborhood right around you? Because Denver has 100 plus breweries at the time you're coming in. So neighborhood by neighborhood, a lot of people were establishing the place.
Yes.
So not just local. People talk about local regional, local Colorado. You're talking about local Lakewood.
We were talking about Lakewood specifically, and obviously we're close to Edgewater. We pull some from Edgewater, and then we're super close to Denver. So like the Sloan's Lake area, we pull some from that too. Yeah, I mean the idea was that the breweries to me that were the most fun weren't the giant, super busy, although we all want to be busy, but they were the ones that were a little more intimate, right? Yeah. So that was important to have some level of that people could come enjoy and have fun in your space.
And where did you move from before 2010?
So directly from northeastern Pennsylvania, so Scranton, and originally from western New York, the Finger Lakes region. So go Bills.
So would you grow up drinking or being inspired by?
Yeah.
Like, what was your East Coast beer choices?
Yeah. So my whole growth through beer was when I moved to Scranton, there was a bar or a restaurant called Cooper's Seafood. It's mentioned in The Office, if you watch The Office.
We watched The Office.
You mentioned Scranton, and my first thought was just like, oh, The Office.
I've been writing an Office question in my head ever since you started talking, so glad you threw it out there first.
So they had like a beer passport program, and me and my buddies from work would go there every Thursday and have 2 or 3 beers, and we just do new ones every week, right? And that was my 22, 23-year-old self trying new beers, trying different beers. Before that it was Magic Hat and Sam Adams, probably in college a little bit, but mostly it was whatever's cheapest. And then that's when I started to dip into some Belgians, or hey, there's local Pilsners like what's it called? Sunshine Pils?
Sunshine Wheat from New Belgium?
No. Is it Victory's Pilsner? What's that called? But anyways, it's a delicious Pilsner, right? They should drink the crap out of that. And then once we started moving to IPAs, right, it was 60 Minute from Dogfish Head. It was Victory's Hop Devil was a big inspiration. And then we'd start going, Trogs had Mad Elf. I don't know if you ever heard of Mad Elf. We would make the pilgrimage for Mad Elf down to, they were in Harrisburg at the time. Now I think they're in Hershey. So we got into the, we did the Yingling tour. We did all the Pennsylvania brewery stuff while we were
the
there.
Early craft beer, like big guys, basically.
Yeah. I mean, Pennsylvania didn't have a lot of little guys, but they had these, Trogs is still delicious. Victory still makes great beers. And they were a little bit smaller back then.
Yeah.
So.
Yingling is still,
Yingling,
one of the success stories for
And the other brewery is Weyerbacher.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've had Weyerbacher.
Yeah, they never really grew that much, but we used to get their beers up in Scranton. It was great.
That's great. So, we're sitting here on the upstairs patio of your new Colorado Springs location. I can't even say the word either. We struggle with our own town's name
every time I chew on Colorado Springs. I have to slow it down Don't know why.
We just call it the Springs.
The Springs is so much easier.
We should too. We should too. And we just
It's
are
so
like,
much easier.
We just fumble through it. So, this project, for everyone here in town who has driven by and watched it since 2020, when the original brewery WestFax, or not WestFax, WeldWorks started this project.
Right.
We've seen various phases, but what challenges did you have in taking over from WestFax and then also getting it to this point? I mean, if you could just sum it up in a nutshell. I know building out any brewery, there's going to be setbacks and challenges, but you could also maybe walk us through what made you want to take over the project after seeing all of the shitstorm that WeldWorks went through in this place.
As an industrial engineer / brewer.
I think they had already knocked down some of those walls, right? They did a lot of the legwork with the city, right, to get it to where it was and actually get construction started. And there was an open permit, right? So as soon as we owned it and we gave money to a contractor, we could start work.
Oh, wow.
Knowing we were going to change it and submit a splice to the building department later, but there was nothing wrong with us doing that, right? And we built it mostly, like at least the structure is pretty much like they were going to do it anyway. So we used that. It's a lot of the interior stuff that's changed. But I mean, we weren't even, when I started the journey for a second location, right? That was early 22. I wasn't looking down here. I'll be honest.
The spring sucks. Okay.
No, it's not that I don't like it. It just was. It's like that's far away.
It's not Scranton. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, but usually look, just like a neighborhood over.
Or like we were South Metro, like Southwest Metro is really where we're looking. We think that's a little bit of a beer desert too. And I was looking on LoopNet or one of those websites late at night, and I saw it was for sale. And I was like, I think that's the WeldWorks building. What the heck? And so I sent it to my broker, and he looked into it. He's like, well, this is the price. I'm like, all right, let's go take a look. If it doesn't hurt, we'll drive down. And, one thing led to another, and it's like, this makes sense. This still makes sense. Like, as you go through the process of, well, all right, what would the loan be? Well, let's get an estimated construction budget out. Let's budget. Let's
right, figure out all the process and the steps.
Yeah, what's the loan? What are current interest rates? Do we need investment? And you look at the numbers, you're like, we can actually do this.
Well, 2022 interest rates were still pretty decent. They weren't as horrible as they are.
No, they are.
Since then.
And then beyond that, right? We started coming down here and understanding the beer culture down here, or like at least the environment, right? Going to breweries, talking to other people within the industry, and I think it was like, I think this is a really good opportunity. So did you talk with any of the current breweries just to sort of get a lay of the land at all, or a little bit here and there,
a little bit of market research?
Yeah, at least market research. Yeah, and talking to distributors and things like that too, to understand not just the tap room, but what's the total beer market. Like, are people drinking enough craft beer down here?
We do our part. We try.
Yeah, I think you do.
We try. Can also too. So we're sitting on the rooftop. Everything's in progress. We're about 2 weeks away from opening ish as we're recording this now. It looks close. So we didn't do a tour with the cameras. We've just set up in a little corner for now. But could you describe to folks who, when they're listening to this, haven't made it in yet, what we're looking at up here, downstairs? Give them a little walkthrough.
What's the experience going to be like for someone coming to WestFax Colorado Springs?
Just trying to open the doors.
I know we are. I know that's why we want to get the virtual auditory tour.
A month once we're open. I think we'll be a bright open tap room, multiple garage doors going out to a big beer garden style patio, and then obviously up where we're sitting is a 40-50 person rooftop with a drink rail, and there'll be some high top tables up here that just stares right at Pikes Peak and all the other surrounding
it's a great view
mountains.
from up here.
We'll have fire pits out in the beer garden. We will have food trucks. I'm not sure how many days a week, at least probably 4.
One of the big things that I think as soon as WeldWorks, put this deal in motion, a lot of the locals' first question they had was, what about parking? Yeah. And so I guess that's a question to you. How have you addressed that concern to make sure that you can actually have enough people to make the space worth it?
Yeah, and that was a deal breaker for us. We weren't going to go through with the purchase if we couldn't nail down something with parking. So we actually, the lot on the other side of the Wendy's drive-thru is ours as well.
Oh, wow.
So we'll have another 30 to 40 spaces over there.
So an actual designated WestFax parking lot.
Yeah, I think we'll have about 5 or 6 out front. A couple will be handicap. We'll have bike racks out front, and then we'll have another 30 or 40 spots. Yeah, just, 50 yards away.
That's easy. That makes it simple because it's also off street, so people aren't parking in the neighborhoods trying to wander in.
When we give people the virtual tour, I'm just remembering reading the press release this morning. I think 16 taps coming here. Is that right? And then, to be clear for anyone who didn't catch it or understand it, this is not a brewery. This is a tap room. You're still brewing in Denver, bringing everything down,
Correct.
right? So,
Correct.
And then these will be the same beers between.
We currently only have 12 taps up in Lakewood, but we often have beers in waiting. So there's a strong chance you may get certain beers sooner down here just because we have space to put them on tap.
Oh, you hear that? That's a good thing to hear.
But we also, because we have 16 taps, we'll probably plan to designate 1 or 2 for potentially guest taps. Maybe we bring down some more Denver breweries or local breweries here, but also probably Holiday gluten-free, and then maybe a line of kombucha just to not buy cans and pour it on draft instead.
That's a great.
I wanted to talk to you about, we mentioned it in the beginning, but being located next to Casa Bonita is sort of fascinating to me because I went and did the media tour right before they opened, so I got the
new media tour,
the
South Park tour.
When it was just people were driving in from out of state, standing in line, not even knowing if the doors were going to open. You saw it. It was crazy there. I went back later and did my official formal visit once I got my invite months later. But every time I went up there, mobbed with people, and they're all standing around in lines, and your garage door's open and patio's right there, and everyone's just drinking all happy. I was thinking, this place must be killing it right now from Casa Bonita spillover. Did that happen? Did that work?
Killing it? No. Doing well because of it? Sure. It's definitely been very helpful. They've been great neighbors. Great. Happy to have them next door, right? Happy to have someone with that kind of money and ability and wherewithal to turn that place around into something that it should be, because it was pretty bad before COVID, and then COVID made it worse. We actually have a lot of stories about Casa Bonita because during COVID, the security guards had to go in and tour it, and they would find. Like I saw a video once where a sprinkler had broke or something because they didn't have heat because the boiler broke and there was just water rushing downstairs.
Jeez.
So to give you an idea of the amount of damage they probably had to fix in there.
Oh, wow. See, and that's the thing is I think when they ran into all of their hurdles and issues, everyone from the outside sort of was just like, come on, all we pictured was our last time there, which was for me, it was probably late 90s when I was a kid, after a field trip or something like that. And so I have that mental picture. But if you're saying, if there's water damage, there's all those other issues, they probably came into a moldy, gross spot that they had to basically scrape.
Yeah, and I peeked in there once when I wasn't supposed to, and we had a signed NDA, but it was just dirt floor. The kitchen area was dirt floor. So they rebuilt the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. They dug down 3 feet, they told us.
They had to.
It was a major
So it was
thing.
a scrape. They had to scrape from the inside out.
Certain parts. I mean, I think the dining room and stuff, they didn't.
It's all concrete, so
yeah, it looks
water
pretty similar. But yeah, the kitchen, for sure.
So is it a different era, though? Your early days with the old and quiet, sleepy neighborhood, for lack of a better term.
So
now people just all there all the time.
Yeah, but Casa Bonita was still busy pre-COVID. During the weekends, there's still parking lot was full. They'd have a line out there.
It's a tourist trap. It was always a tourist trap.
If anything, the demographics changed. Going there, right? It's much more expensive now, and obviously you have to be on the wait list, and I think you have to make. It's more of a experience now than it ever has been.
And have you been in and to eat since?
I've been in a few times. Yeah, we were lucky enough to get to go to their friends and family, which was a ton of fun, and we've been in a few other times. So.
And they you talked about having, you know, a neighbor that has, you know, the wherewithal and the funds to be able to sort of redo it. But they also helped out like some of the other businesses with like projects, like external projects, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they actually. So we had I don't know. There was a light post that was supposedly Casa Bonita's right in front of ours, and like a little mound with some plants and stuff. They actually scraped that for us and excavated it out, and then put in like hard pack patio rock stuff.
Oh, that's great. So basically created a little patio for you.
And then we just did the fencing and the other stuff, and yeah, they just helped us out. I think part of it's because they wanted that light because it was part of the heritage of Casa Bonita, but they thought it was on our property, and I'm like, I don't know. They're just being good neighbors because they knew it was a pain during construction while their fence is up. You know, people drive by us and think we're under construction sometimes, so they knew it was a pain. We came up to WestFax a couple times during the construction, and it was weird because the parking lot was half of it was covered with, you know, trucks and big fences. And
All right, another Denver question while we're in Denver. I was reading articles recent months, late last year. I think Westward, some other papers were covering this, but it seemed like you guys were experiencing some brewery closures, enough to catch the attention of media. Like, hey, what's going on? Like, you know, more breweries are closing. We've recently had a couple here. Just wanted to ask you your thoughts. Like, and here you are, yet you're expanding, so you're doing well. Some others are doing well. Others are calling it quits, though. What do you hear up in Denver about the beer scene or beer community? What are people talking about?
Hey, I think, well, part of that is I don't know. We are lucky enough to not be experiencing, I think, some similar things to other breweries because we have this tourist destination next to us. I think we're very fortunate in that light. What I think it's similar to what the industry or what alcohol in general is feeling, where the new generation of 20-somethings doesn't want to drink. I don't know if they're doing mushrooms or whatever, but
they're getting their jellies out somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's been documented nationwide, right? I think part of why breweries are closing too is lease rates, right? The lease is up. They're like, well, I don't want to pay that. It's not that they maybe weren't profitable or making money, but maybe they're not making enough money, and everything's getting more expensive. Why do I want to keep this slog going down the road instead of, you know, getting out before bankruptcy happens or, you know, it gets worse? That's the sense I get, is that, I mean, running a brewery isn't a get rich quick scheme, right? And it's not I don't even know if it's a get wealthy ever scheme. But you have to love it, and you still have to be able to support yourself, your family, and those things. And if I think people see the opportunity to close it down in a controlled manner, they maybe are taking advantage of that versus the bank telling them to do it.
Right, being forced to do it.
Yeah.
Do it in your own terms. In terms of brewing, like, do you guys have a brewing team up in Denver, or like, do you brew at all?
I'm effectively our head brewer right now.
Okay.
We haven't had a head brewer for a little over a year, and I took that back over, and it was actually great. I mean, the workload, right, trying to run the business and also make a bunch of beer, because last summer it was me and one other guy, or one other brewer, and we just knocked out everything all summer long. It was fun. Kind of reminded me why I got into the industry.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was a home brewer. I loved drinking beer. I loved making beer. I loved the process, the design. And now I got to go back into it a little bit, and all the things I've learned over the past 7 years at that time, I was kind of able to reapply and you know, then re-engage too in the learning process of what's going on industry-wide from ingredients and process standpoint. What are people doing now? Because I was doing some of that, but not like, kind of relying on someone else to be a little more in touch with that, and it kind of was fun. I wish I could only do that, but someone has to be the adult and run the business too, right?
Yeah, that's the hard thing is balancing those duties.
Just want to make beer, but yeah, and we will hire a head brewer again at some point. I have a revenue and volume number in my head that when we get to that, I think it makes sense. Unfortunately, like everything else, everything costing more. Wages are also going up, right? It makes sense to keep some stuff in my book until
you burn yourself out.
Yeah, until I burn myself out.
Yeah.
one other question for the newbies who don't know WestFax yet. Are you only available in your tap rooms, or do you can? Are you on taps at other places? Will you be on taps here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we distribute a decent amount. We package in 16-ounce 4-packs. We'll have cans available here at the tap room when we open. Yeah, we're around down here, I think, like Applejack, Coltrane. What's the little liquor store across the street?
30th Street.
No, right over here.
Red Rocks.
Red Rocks or Johnny's? I don't know.
We invited them to the Friends and Family. I have it in my Instagram, but they just bought some recently too.
Okay.
So
well, and Trails End's always carried your stuff as well.
Yep.
On tap at least.
Yeah, we work with Culture Beverage. They're a small distributor, and they get us around pretty good.
So in like a lot of our breweries here, Bristol has Beehive and FH has the Sticky Paws. Like breweries will become known for their few flagships. What are your 2 or 3 biggest sellers or labels that people may be familiar with or should check out first?
Yeah, our biggest seller is Urban Lumberjack, 6.5% hazy, Citra Eldorado, our main hops in that. Beyond that, we have a blueberry wheat called Blue Delicious that does really well, surprisingly. I think it's kind of a throwback beer, but on draft specifically, it does really, really well. And then the other, I'm kind of rethinking our core strategy at the moment, but what we have at the moment, we have an Italian Pilsner called Pelief, and then West Coast IPA called 40 West IPA, which 40 West for the folks in Colorado Springs, so 40 West is Highway 40, which is Colfax Avenue. So we may or may not be rebranding that just because we now are no longer solely located on Colfax Avenue, right?
You could just do a version for down here.
Yeah, tap room only in WestFax 1 versus the Springs, yeah.
So I don't know if I should feel celebrated or attacked here, but this Urban Lumberjack name is a man who has a chainsaw and cuts his own wood every winter. Were you making fun of me, or were you celebrating my manliness in my backyard?
No, it was tongue in cheek. I had that name for a long time, and I didn't know what beer to give it to, and then when we started making hazies, I was like, oh, that's it, because it's a hipster, right? It's a trendy man. Living in the city who's dressing like a lumberjack.
Yeah, it's that basic guy.
Oh, it's the dressing. It's like the Carhartt full suit when you're not really.
That's the red and black.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like in my backyard covered in sawdust and like junky clothes. Actually,
you're just a regular.
You're urban.
You're a lumberjack. You just live in the city.
Yeah.
Urban lumberjacks. They're the ones that are like they're getting the PSL lattes at Starbucks. They are dressing in the red and black flannels.
Okay.
They probably don't actually use their axe, but they own an axe. For the.
I mean, the thought was like, this is the new trendy style, right?
Yeah.
When we first made it, and person dressing like an urban lumberjack is also trying to be trendy. So yeah.
I like it. I'll buy it.
And one of the things you guys have done, since I've learned about WestFax years ago, is that you've always sort of been on the forefront of beer marketing, I would say. A while back, Brian was your marketing guy, and he was I feel like instrumental in getting people outside of the Lakewood area to know about WestFax, just in general, because especially for us down in Colorado Springs, you go to Denver and it's this paralysis by choice. There's too many options, and if you don't know about who you're going to, and so Brian always reached out to us down here in the Colorado Springs and everyone else, and I feel like he did a really good job just getting your name out there. But then I think you guys also did you had some nice beer photos made. Justin Graziano. Yeah,
he worked for us for about a year.
Yeah. That's where I met him. Was at your
ton.
Yeah, and
he's super talented.
He's out in LA now, doing major brand stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we still talk to him.
He's a great guy. Great guy. But I just want to compliment you. You guys were really sort of instrumental in sort of pushing beer marketing forward, and I feel like you were ahead of the curve. Ahead of even Webworks when before they were doing some stuff, but it wasn't as involved as what you guys I feel like were doing.
Yeah, I think when you think about the important stuff or the important things you're working on as a business, right? There's things you can control. Right, and location might be the most important thing you do when you set up a tap room, but beyond that, once you're there, and you're probably not moving your leases over. So what are the other things? Quality of your product, right, and then your brand and your how people view you, and that's all marketing, right? So it made sense to me when I started talking to Brian, and Brian did a great job selling me on all that as well, because he lived in the neighborhood, and we became his local brewery. And then he wanted to help his local brewery, and it formed into a relationship to a point where he was employed by us for about a year. Yeah, we just always saw it as a very important part and piece of what we need to be doing to stay relevant, right?
Yeah.
So how does that inform getting here now, introducing yourself to our community, meeting the other breweries, positioning yourself here for that longevity with this space you've invested in?
Yeah.
What happens now?
Yeah. Get open.
Back to the getting open part.
Yeah, get open, and just like we do up in Lakewood, we'll do our damnedest to provide a good product and make sure our things are right in the tap room, from the service to the employees. We're taking care of these employees down here as well, and just trying to replicate that as much as we can to get us going. And then beyond, we'll see where it goes. I think having a presence down here will obviously help our distribution down here and our wholesale as well. How much more volume we'll have for wholesale right now, I don't know. And I think I have a next step in my head of a vision where I want the business to go, but I kind of keep that close to my chest at the moment. But
don't spill out all the beans yet.
Yeah. But that,
But when you're ready, let us know.
Okay.
So in terms of,
I will say I've talked to other breweries, right, and COVID's over, I gotta take a breath and not just focus on doing the basics for a year. And I was like, screw that. I'm not one to be complacent and be satisfied. If I'm not, my personality is, if we're not trying to be better or grow or do more, then let's go do something else. Like if when we are done growing WestFax, I will probably be ready to step away, whatever that means.
Right.
My mentality is keep pushing, keep going forward, keep making bigger things, or at least completely focused on making things better.
and I think that probably sums up the reason why there's breweries closing down here post COVID, but in that same sense, you guys were charging ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm also very frugal. So, financially, I think we've done a good job managing costs and managing debt and managing all those things to be safe, I guess is the right word, right?
All right.
Or feel safe.
What did we not ask you that you want to talk about in this interview? Anything?
No, I think covered.
I mean,
a lot of it.
My recap is you really want to get open.
Yeah.
And you want to get open soon.
And I want to make more West Coast Pilsners. That's
Okay.
I'm a fan of that.
That's my new favorite style. I will drink that because it's the new pale ale. It essentially is the new pale ale, and I missed pale ales. So
We'll look for a West Coast lager down here.
We should probably mention the opening dates as long as we hit them. I think we're on for June 28th. Is that right?
we're hoping to open a public on June 28th. Yeah.
And
And
then
then grand opening on July 20th. Saturday, July 20th. Yeah.
Cool.
Those are the targets.
So a little bit of a soft month to
Just get open.
get
Yeah.
things.
And then we'll
get things figured
throw a
out.
party.
Yeah.
Then we'll throw a party.
That's a good way to do it. I feel like a lot of places, they're in the same boat as you, where they're just like, we just have to get open. And
Dumpsters that way.
dumpster. They just have to get open, and as soon as they open, there's no either there's no thought of how do we celebrate this, or they're just 100 miles ahead. Yeah, just go. So I'm glad you're doing that. Definitely, if you see the open sign on over here, stop in, grab a pint of Urban Lumberjack. That blueberry wheat. I think those fruited wheats are coming back. People are
It's
hitting
amazing
those a lot.
how it's been such a staple for us. It's actually our longest tenured beer.
Oh wow.
It was, we made it in the third or fourth month being open, and we've not stopped since. Had a couple different names, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, it's one of those styles like those easy drinking wheat beers. I mean, there's a reason Blue Moon has grown to what it is. People enjoy wheat beers.
Yeah.
So, well, Anthony, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What's the address here again for people? That's the hardest thing. Is it? We're at the old location of the Dive, but
3043 West Pikes Peak.
okay.
It's where 30th meets Colorado in front of us.
Yep.
And
much.
right behind the Leach Pit,
Yep.
across the street from KFC /
Starbucks,
A&W.
We'll have to start doing a little fossil WestFax Trails and beer crawl here pretty soon. There's a nice little quadrant here, or trifecta of good spots to go. So thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.